Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Sinnoh Classic with another video. Today I'm coming at you with some more battles from the Sinnoh Classic that I had over the past weekend. And this time we're going to be going up against, or last time we had our first loss, but I've been doing well. I've been coming across some really good teams. I've been having a lot of fun, which is obviously the most important thing. But today we're going up against a Japanese opponent, and he had a team of Arcanine, Snorlax, Milotic, Staraptor, Espeon, and Lapras. So I feel like my team had a really good matchup against this one. I had the Machamp to take care of the Snorlax, which was probably going to be his wall. And the only thing that kind of scared me would have been that Espeon, since I didn't really have any. The only dark move I had would have been knockoff. I didn't have any ghost type moves, and the Lapras I had. That's why I decided to bring the Rotom and also the Machamp to be able to get those super effective attacks off. So I feel like in this one I had a really good matchup, had some good coverage, and not just coverage, but stab coverage to get off some real nice damage. So my opponent starts out here with Arcanine and Staraptor, and I start off with Rotom and Metagross, which is a pretty nice lead since he's going to have double Intimidate. But Rotom is a is a special attacker, and Metagross has Clear Body, so his stats are not going to get lowered. So those abilities are pretty much nullified. If anything, if he confuses me, it's just going to help me. So he's going to flat out switch out his Arcanine here, which I found interesting because I was expecting it to protect more than anything. So I protect here with my Metagross. I'm like, he's probably going to protect this Arcanine as well because it'd be the easier target to go after with the Rotom, and he actually U-turns here as well. So he didn't like his lead matchup at all. And I can't really blame him, but I'm actually surprised that he switches or decides to switch out both his Pokemon. So we see, and he actually goes back in the Arcanine here. So I was kind of a little confused at this. I guess if he was expecting a Meteor Mash into that slot. Oh, also, or the Will-O-Wisp. So he's going to switch out again. So up until now, he hasn't even gotten any damage off. So we see his last Pokemon's Milotic. I protect you with Rotom. I'm expecting the attacks to go into Rotom. And I go for the Meteor Mash into the Snorlax. I didn't risk a double protect. So Snorlax is bulky. It's only going to do 40% even with Life Orb. And the Snorlax goes for the Facade into the Rotom. So I was actually thinking about going for a Will-O-Wisp onto the Snorlax, but thankfully I went for the Protect instead. So I set up the substitute here knowing that I'm faster than these two Pokemon. And I didn't want to get... I was expecting a Will-O-Wisp from the Milotic, but he actually has Toxic. So he Toxics the Rotom. I'm okay with that. And goes for Facade into Rotom. He obviously fears it. It has super effective moves for 3 of his 4 Pokemon. I have Hydro Pump for the Arcanine and Thunderbolt for Milotic and Staraptor. So it's obvious why he wants to take that out. But this turn I get another free Meteor Mash off onto Snorlax. It's not going to be able to knock it out, but we are going to get the attack boost, which is nice. Always nice. And I get the Thunderbolt off onto Milotic. Nice 2-hit KO. So pick up a knockout. Because this Snorlax can't do anything to my Metagross or anything to my back, the Pokemon I have in the back. So Rotom's gonna barely hang on here, which is really good because that means this next Pokemon I'm gonna be able to. I mean, it's probably gonna be. We know that these two are gonna be faster than Rotom, anyways. Whether it was Staraptor or Arcanine, most likely would have had the extreme speed. But here he goes for the Brave Bird, and so he knocks out Rotom, which I'm okay with. It's not. I wanted a free switch into one of my Pokemon in the back. And I go for the Meteor Mash here into Staraptor since the Snorlax is not a threat to my team. And I don't want to give him a free switch, so I was like, either I'm going to knock out Staraptor here, or I'm going to take it down really low, and he's not going to have a free switch. But we do knock it out, no complaints at all, since now I'm behind a substitute. And we see the Snorlax reveals Earthquake, so I say, okay, well this thing still is a little, or is a somewhat of a threat to my team. It's got this super effective Earthquake for my Metagross. And we obviously know what his last Pokemon is. It's the Arcanine. And I send in my Mamoswine here. I decide to keep my Machamp because I want to be able to get this take out this Arcanine. Even if I go for an Earthquake, it's going to be able to hit both his Pokemon. So I'm just holding my Machamp in the back because I think Machamp would have a better face-off if he only has one Pokemon. So I protect my Metagross here and just go straight up for the Earthquake. I was actually surprised here that I outsped his Arcanine. So it must have been a really defensive one because it does take that Earthquake really well. But we do pick up the knockout on the Snorlax, and he goes for the Flare Blitz, surprisingly, into, well, he might have been predicting the Protect, but he takes me down to 2. It didn't matter, you guys know I have the Focus Sash, but he also barely holds on. And he just goes ahead and surrenders there. So the Rotom Wash really put in work there. It scared out both of his starting Pokemon, and he had to switch out a lot at the beginning, which just gave me free damage off on a whole bunch of his Pokemon. I will say I did make some pretty decent predictions and some good calls. Like when I went for, after turn 1 I predicted Metagross, and turn 2 he had his Arcanine now. But instead of trying the double protect or switch out, I just went for a nice Meteor Mash on the Snorlax. It only did like 40%, but still. And then later on when he had Snorlax and Staraptor out, I went for the Meteor Mash onto the Staraptor instead of the Snorlax, since Staraptor was the bigger threat of the two. So my plays did pay off quite a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next battle. And my opponent was rocking a team of Slacking, Gastrodon, Alakazam, Sableye, Blaziken, and Umbreon. So not really any defensive Pokemon here. Obviously Slacking's really bulky. Gastrodon would be the only defensive Pokemon here. I guess Umbreon could be as well. The Sableye for the Prankster, obviously. So looking here, I definitely want to bring my Tangrowth because I don't have anything else that can take care of that Gastrodon. I'll also be able to get free knockoffs off, mainly on the Sableye and the Alakazam. Machamp's going to come in handy here for the Slacking if he decides to bring it, and the Umbreon. So I got some good coverage for this opponent as well. And we're going to go ahead and get this battle started. So I decided to lead off with Machamp and Tangrowth since I figure he doesn't have any flying types, so there's not really anything he can do that'll shut me down hard. And he has Sableye and Gastrodon, so this is a really good lead for me. He switches out his Gastrodon right away, but most people would be tempted to go straight for the Giga Drain onto the Gastrodon, but I felt like there was a better play that I could make. And he goes for the Will-O-Wisp, which you guys know I'm fine with. I have Lumberry, so it's not gonna make any difference. I go straight up for the knockoff on the Sableye here. So we're gonna get the Focus Sash, and I get the Dynamic Punch because I was expecting either a switch or not. I was thinking maybe Giga Drain wouldn't knock out, but I felt like that was just a stronger play to make. So now I switch out. I don't want to get burned since I know I have some, especially if he has Umbreon or Slacking in the back. I need my full power. So he goes for another Will-O-Wisp. He connects onto Rotom, which is fine. And my opponent is confused with Blaziken, and unfortunately for him, he hits himself in confusion. So we see nothing from this Blaziken. No complaints here. He's probably going for the Flare Blitz and the Tangrowth. I probably would have protected if I have it, but not on this set. I didn't change this move. It's just one for my singles team. So I get a Toxic off on the Sableye, which is going to be some residual damage. I didn't know if he had Recover or not, and I just wanted to make sure that this thing wouldn't stall me out. So we're going to see his Gastrodon's going to come back in. And I was thinking, he probably thought that I didn't have a Grass type move, or he thought I was physical because I went for the knockoff. But that was probably the only reason why he would have done that. But I do have the Giga Drain, which is not going to be enough to knock it out, but it does obviously tons and tons and tons of damage. So we're in a good position here since he's got two really low Pokemon. Sableye is going to take a whole bunch of, or not a whole bunch, but he's going to take decent poison damage, and then he's going to be in red health by the end of the turn. So these two are both really low. Unfortunately, I don't have any spread moves with these two Pokemon, but it'll be good enough since Rotom is the fastest Pokemon on the field, which is surprising since it's a Rotom. But I go for Protect because I still want my Rotom to hang around a little bit longer. And he sure enough, he goes for the Swagger into Rotom. So I was expecting something like that. I didn't know if he had swagger, or he might have. It might have been a speed tie, and he could have gone for foul play or whatever. And I was like, I'll just take care of the Gastrodon, and the toxic damage will take care of the Sableye and knock it out. So I protected, but we do pick up a double knockout that turn. My opponent's only left with one Pokemon, and here I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna see if it's Machamp or Umbreon, or excuse me, if it's Slacking or Umbreon. So I just have Machamp in the back, and I can deal with whatever it is. I have Toxic and Will-O-Wisp as well if I need to inflict status, but we see it's just Alakazam. So I then go for the Psyshock and knock out my Tangrowth. And we know its defenses aren't really that high. And I just go for the safe Thunderbolt instead of going for a Will-O-Wisp, not necessary. And we do 50%, so it's going to be a 2-hit KO. Depending on the roll, it could be a 3-hit KO. I just bring in my Machamp here. I'm confident his Psyshock can't even knock me out. The Paralysis helps, but it's not. I still have one more Pokemon in the back, so unless if he has a dual target move, it wouldn't, like Dazzling Gleam. I don't even think a Dazzling Gleam could knock out my Machamp. So we pick up the win there. My opponent, I'm not sure how. Well, Gastrodons are usually more defensive than special defensive, so Giga Drain was able to melt through that thing pretty easily, even though Tangrowth isn't invested in special attack. So that was like the key Pokemon right there. With the Pokemon I took, I wouldn't really have had much to hit that Gastrodon with, even for neutral damage. So, and since my two like strong Pokemon, Metagross and Machamp, are physical attackers, if that thing was defensive, it would have been a long game. And that Sableye luckily didn't get any Will-O-Wisps off on Machamp or Metagross, so they weren't really even used in the end. So we're going to move on to the next battle. My opponent had a team of Weavile, Luxray, Gengar, Garchomp, Infernape, and Staraptor. So we've been seeing a lot of Garchomps, a lot of Infernapes. I've been hearing that they were pretty meta back then, back in the day. So Mamoswine really helps out here. He hits all but Gengar for super effective damage. Machamp can take care of can one hit. Well, Mamoswine could probably one hit knock out the Weavile as well, but Machamp would also have the backup Ice type moves if necessary. And Rotom Wash would help out, obviously, with the Staraptor and the Infernape, and I could get some Will-O-Wisps off if necessary. But like I've been saying, I don't have any Ghost type moves, so these Ghosts and Psychic types have been a little tricky to deal with. But we're going to go ahead and get started now. My opponent leads off with Infernape and Luxray. So Mamoswine here would have been able to wreck pretty easily, pretty hard. But I just didn't want to risk it since I knew he was so good. I didn't want to send him out at the beginning and have him get knocked out. So I just go straight for the Protect here, expecting a Fire type move to come my way. But he goes for the Fake Out and the Crunch. So the Crunch kind of scares me as well since he can hit Metagross with both his Pokemon for super effective damage. I go for the safe Thunderbolt into Infernape, and he's Toxic Orb, which really surprised me. And he also has Fire Fang, which wouldn't have mattered. Crunch also would have done the trick. So Metagross is going to go down. It's really unfortunate, but I do get the Hydro Pump off. With how little damage that Thunderbolt did, I figured he was Assault Vest, so I'm like, the only way I'm going to be able to knock this thing out would be with the Hydro Pump. So I go for the Hydro Pump, and we connect, thank goodness. And so I'm assuming that the Luxray is Guts or something. That's why he has the Toxic Orb. And now we're going to see the Gengar come in. And I bring my Machamp, since I still don't want to bring my Mamoswine quite yet, because I want to be sure. And he switches out Gengar here, which really surprised me. Especially in, I guess, he might have been expecting some sort of Dark type move into that slot, so he wanted me to take Rough Skin and possible Rocky Helmet damage. So Luxray is putting in some decent work here, but I mean, a good switch by my opponent. He doesn't take any damage from the Thunderbolt, but his Luxray gets hit pretty hard. I mean, he could have had Will-O-Wisp or something. I don't. He could have gone for the Shadow Ball and knocked out my Rotom, I think. So Hero Luxury is going to go down from the poison damage. So now we got him into his last two Pokemon. Mamoswine's going to be able to take care of the Garchomp. But at the same time, there's not much I can do to this Gengar. And he goes for the Outrage here, so he kind of leaves it up to a 50-50. If he hit the... because with Outrage, you can't choose which Pokemon you attack, so he kind of got lucky that he hit the Machamp and not the Rotom. Because that would have sealed the deal right there. But I do get the Will-O-Wisp off, so he's burned. He's not going to deal as much damage, and I do have Mamoswine in the back. So the only thing I'm a little worried about is if Garchomp is holding the Yachi Berry to take less damage from Ice-type attacks. If he's holding Focus Sash, it doesn't matter anymore. And here Outreach hits Rotom, which is perfect. And he ends his Outrage and is now confused. Icicle Crash connects. He's not holding the Yachi Berry. So that is going to be a finished Garchomp. We got a nice 2v1. So the Thunderbolt here is going to connect over 50%, which is nice. And here he goes for the Focus Blast just for the thing. I was a little scared if he had Dazzling Gleam, because I was like, Dazzling Gleam might be able to pick up the double knockout. I don't know how well this Mamoswine is, especially defensive, because it was something from a long time ago. So I do pick up the knockout with the Thunderbolt, and we're able to pick up another victory. So that one came a little close. That Luxray had pretty good coverage. It was like a biting one. He had Fire Fang, he had Crunch, probably had Ice Fang, maybe even Thunder Fang for the stab and stuff. So that was a good battle. That one was personally, I think, a lot closer than it should have been. Metagross fainted without even being able to do anything. So it was a big offensive threat that he took care of. Luckily, he didn't have any. Well, I guess Garchomp was defensive, but because the 3 attacking Pokemon I took were physically offensive, so we got kind of lucky there that he didn't have something like a Gastrodon that'd be able to, or something that'd be able to tank physical attacks very well. So that's gonna be it for this video. We had a nice 3-0 win. Those battles were a lot closer though. Like I didn't really stomp like I did in the first ones. These people kind of knew what they were doing. They had good double battle strategies. Some of them had Protect and stuff, so those battles were pretty enjoyable. So, but anyway, tomorrow I'm gonna be coming out with the last few battles that I had, so look for that. But that's gonna be it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.